Today's guest is Cory Sherman. He's the founder of Safety Systems Management LLC. All right, Cory, thank you for coming on the show.
I appreciate you having me on, Tats.
Yeah, I'm excited. You're in the safety side of things, which is extremely important, and you're an entrepreneur. So those are two interesting subjects to me. So I'm excited to dig in.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So, you've been part of the safety, sort of the construction side for a very long time. Is that how'd you originally get into construction?
I've got my undergrad in construction management from Georgia Southern University. Started off, my dad built some houses back in the day, and seeing him in the construction side, um, building the family home, watching that as a kid got me interested in construction.
Did you
And
help your dad
so,
growing up?
A little bit. So my dad was a mortgage broker, but
Yeah.
he had some construction experience in his background and contracted out our house being built and help a few other guys along the way. So seeing my dad as a mortgage broker, building his own company that way, and doing construction on the side was kind of got my wheels turning and interest into the construction field. So
Yeah.
pursued that doing construction management. But I graduated in 2009 after the Great Recession, which was pretty tough with the construction side. Um, so, after my graduation, I sent out over 1,000 resumes with two
Oh,
callbacks.
how many
That first
callbacks?
two out of a
Two.
thousand
Oh,
resumes
wow.
sent. It was rough. So me and a buddy of mine did handyman service for a year. Then got into doing some assistant estimating with a smaller commercial outfit out of Georgia. And then a buddy I graduated with said, "Hey, I just got a job. They're looking for a safety guy on Fort Knox. You want to come up here and work on Fort Knox?" So I was like, "Well, what are they paying?" And he told me, so I was like, "All right, I'm coming." So got into the safety role position up there, working on Fort Knox. And
Did you get a bunch of training on it or just get plopped in?
yeah, so just plopped in, and then the training came along with it. It was rough that first year because I was very green to safety side of it and working,
Sure.
with Army Corps engineers. They are hard nosed on safety, so it
Sure.
was
Sure.
a
Sure.
trial by fire for sure. But
Sure. Give me some
I
stories from year one, just so people can, you say it is rough, but give me some stories so people can understand what you went through.
yeah, just interacting with block masons. Those guys are um, wild crew. They like to do things their own ways, along with the steel workers. If you're not a seasoned safety guy and dealing with those guys in their interaction every day, it's pretty tough to wedge a safety mindset with those guys and trying to, curve their view on how things are done, how they've been previously done, and how they need to be done. Especially being green can be, mentally tough. I say I should have went and got a psychology degree as well, trying to turn that human behavior, into a safety mindset. Um, you know, and then even you've got your superintendents, your old school superintendents who've been in the field for 30 years. You tell them they need to do it one way, and they tell you they don't care. They're not going to listen to you. So, it can take a toll. And then you've got your Army Corps engineer guys riding you saying, "Hey, why is this not getting done this way?" And then they threaten to kick you off if you don't get it changed. And as a young safety professional, that's a rough avenue
Yeah,
to
yeah.
try to
It's not
to
just
try to
about,
navigate.
just looking over people and telling people what to do. You got to get through to them. So what was the
Right.
turning point for you? Because obviously being effective at safety is altering behavior or getting people to buy in. What sort of lessons or tips did you gather to sort of turn that corner to be effective?
Well, just staying in the safety field, you get used to trying to, hey, I've got a reason I'm here, and it's to keep you safe. And you make relationships with the guys who are willing to understand, and they'll start helping you pass that along, give you tips and insights. And so basically, relationship building, everybody's not going to get it, but you find your key guys who will, and they will help you give insight into it, and you can just keep progressing on top of it.
I
For
guess it makes
so,
sense. Yeah. I mean, especially if you get through to someone that other people listen to.
right, absolutely. Especially, I had a quality control manager that understood, what we had to do, and that safety was important. So he helped on those tough situations with people not listening, being a bridge from my green side to, hey, we got to get this done. And it really helped building those relationships. And then once you learn how to interact with people on the front end to guys who don't want to listen, you know, it starts helping your plight. And I really started, enjoying the safety realm of, hey, we're an unsung hero, we're a necessity that needs to be out there. And it's just sticking with it, saying, hey, one day we'll get to them if there are people out there who don't want to listen.
I was
So,
talking to a safety professional, and I don't know if you can resonate with this. He said something about, he got through to people once he could, really genuinely convey to people, or people would believe that he actually cared about the individual and their families and stuff about, doing get-togethers, getting to know their family, deeply so that, they could get them home safe and just kind of
right.
creating that bridge. Do you resonate with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I later in my career, you start, if guys get into a very dangerous situation, like I don't want to be the one that has to call your wife and tell her that you're not coming home because you're in the hospital, or, something to that effect. Like it really matters that you have to show that, hey, there is a reason you're here working. You work so you can take care of the people you love and do the activities and stuff you like to do outside of work. So, a lot of the safety culture building now is starting to put that at the forefront. There's a sign that says, nothing you will do today is more important than you making it home to your family, you know, and that's the safety culture is evolving. Back in that time, when I started back in 2010, um, the culture in the industry was still evolving. And I think it's on the trend now of a better top down. Hey, the whole company cares about your safety, and we want to make sure that's a priority. And, it's still an uphill battle, but it's still turning. And the younger guys coming into the trades are getting prepped on that safety on the front end. It's not a 20-year veteran who is just now having to do safety activities. That wheel is turning, that has been progressed by the more end of safety coming at the forefront of a employee being hired on than the latter.
Yeah. I think I think 2016, you started to do some other things on the side, sort of build things up. Tell me about that.
So I was working with a big GC, top 20 GC in Atlanta, working on a 20-story high rise as a site safety. Um, and I ran a fire drill with the age old industry standard of the air horn as the means. And it took me over 45 minutes to get everybody off the building. And that was us running up through the building with bull horns and air horns. and it still took that long. So I was like, man, this is unacceptable. There's got to be something better out there, and started searching and couldn't find it. And so, like, look, I'm going to start looking around, start see if I can develop something um, that could be implemented on site. So started developing our mobile communication tower um, with the help of my brother, who is military communications for 10 years. And he had just gotten out of the Army. And so we've got a patented mobile communication tower. Um, and we started working on that. I think we ended up getting the patent around 2022. So, I was still working full time up to about 3 years ago, still doing site safety, and I was a safety director for underground utility contractor company. But we had our first sale in 2019. Um, so our product, we've got mobile communication towers that get deployed out on the site. You can have one or you could have 300. It's
Yeah, yeah.
scalable and you can deploy them out. So, say if you had a 20-story high rise, you can put a tower on each floor and be able to provide. Uh, we've got pre recorded messages, English and Spanish. You can customize those recordings if you want any language that you would like. And you can do live voiceover. So if you don't have a pre-recorded message, you can get information out to the site, whether it's emergency or hey, you're saying there's an all hands meeting at 1 o'clock, or the gates are closing at 3:30. Everybody needs to get off site. So there's multiple communication aspects of this system that uh,
Sure.
you can
Yeah, I
deploy
mean,
out on site.
so you said, when you were first doing it, it took 45 minutes to get people out and, unacceptable. With the system you have, I'm sure you've timed this. Like
Yes,
what, if you
absolutely.
had that system back in the day, how quickly could you have gotten people to where you needed to get them to?
So we've got a bunch of great results, but a couple of highlights. We've got a 23-story high rise in Charlotte. Um, we cleared almost 200 employees in under 7 minutes.
Wow.
We did a 13-story high rise in Atlanta with choke construction. We cleared 170 employees out in 6.5 minutes. And we just got on to JFK Airport expansion this past summer, and we cleared
Congrats.
almost 2,000 employees in 10 minutes under
Wow.
1.3 million square foot under roof.
How big are these towers?
So at the top, they're about 6 feet.
Okay.
Um, Very mobile. They've got a weatherproof enclosure that sits on a metal stand. Um, we've got LED strobe lights for your visuals when events activated. Two big PA speakers, um, and then you have the option. You can put a pull pendant on it that can activate the system, just like a fire alarm pull. And the base station, which since centrally located on site, can send out a handful of text messages out to supervision, um, saying that an event has been activated. So it can
Okay.
get loud, and um, we've got some great results with getting the right information out at the right time.
Sure. With this equipment, I mean, I think, if pe people that are in a job in the construction area are thinking of, oh man, I wish we had this. Um, what did it take to get it off the ground? I mean, obviously, it sounds like you have a bunch of customers. You're doing it full time, which is awesome. You did
Yeah.
this as a side thing for a very long time. How much of it, effort or cost has it taken you to get to this point?
Well, I've moved a couple of times in my house and had a couple of lines of credit pulled off my house to fund the early days. Um, you know, it's staying at it. I'll probably on the front end before we started revenue, it'd probably be about $100,000 to get everything. started through, but we've recouped it over time, to a point. Um, but I had to make sure I covered my full-time salary before I went full-time. I've got two kids, a wife that works, so you got to make sure the lights and the mortgage's still on.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
and
When you said
you
covering,
know,
so basically that you're pulling out as much as you were pulling out in a salary. So you did this as a side hustle, like late nights, early mornings, weekends,
yes,
till it turned. That's smart. That's good. I mean, there's definitely some sacrifice there, right? Because, if you have
yeah,
a
absolutely.
family, then that's hard to do.
Yeah, and so, you know, I'd take vacation days when we would get a install to go install it on a site. Um, so definitely a lot of sacrifice, time, and effort put in a lot of hours after family went to bed, um, and did that for 4 or 5 years. And we rolled it to where it wasn't impeding on our full-time jobs, but we were making sure when things we had enough money in the bank to make the leap to when I went full-time. But not saying there had been a few times that that bank got pretty close to hitting zero for that check to come in or the insurance payment was due, to keep it up. There were a couple times on that insurance payment it got into that 30-day grace period, and we're pretty close to getting our insurance pulled, but
Yeah.
we're
I mean, those moments when you got close or things were looking a little shaky, and what kept the your faith going, or what kept like your positive to sort of not sort of fall into sort of negativity?
that is definitely tough, but the product that we have and the problem that we're solving, the gap is huge in the construction industry. And every commercial building has life safety in it, but it's not operable until the end user is in it. And one thing I point out, like if you ask the project managers over the project, in their office, are they good with taking out, their fire alarm and just going to a text-based air horn system if there's a fire? And most would say no. Um, and so the construction industry needs it. It is a gap that needs to be filled, and most 99% of the safety guys I meet on site know it's a gap and they like our product. And it's just that next step into, you know, getting a potential insurance code legislation. It's there. It's just going to take a lot of time.
Sure. I know you've been at this for a while. What's been your toughest day as a safety professional?
One of the toughest days on that same project, we had a crane tip over. Um, so that was pretty rough. He was lifting outside his weight capacities by about 20 tons. And luckily, the boom of the crane hit the parking deck and collapsed. And so the crane body fell back down before it flipped, and no one was injured. Um, but yeah, that was probably my roughest day on site as a
Wow.
safety guy.
For sure. So basically for you, I mean, your mission is clear. You
Yep.
see it's important. You see the opportunity. So, even when things get tough, you believe.
Yes, absolutely. And guys out in the field, the feedback you get about it when they get a evacuation drill and it works great, that'll keep you going too. Just reconfirming that the product is doing what it's supposed to.
Yeah. Doing what it's supposed to, so you never have to use it.
That's right. And I mean, it is an insurance policy, but you don't want to use it until you have to. And when you do need it, it should be working.